Fantastic. I am so grateful for this opportunity. I'm really, um, uh, a supporter of and appreciator of the mission of Savvy Ladies. And thank you so much for your good work. So, I guess I just want to kind of get started talking today about why are we talking about being in your power, right? Like, what does that have anything to do with? So, let me just give you some examples. Like, let's just say, you're going through your day, you've got all of this good intention, and you've got your career aspirations and the life that you want, but what happens? Well, you have a good idea, but you don't feel heard in a meeting or by your manager. You're smart, but you feel stuck or underutilized. You're not given credit for your talents. Or maybe you're a senior executive and you have a vision for culture change, but you don't feel heard. Maybe your kids said something that were kind of disrespectful to you. Maybe your assistant didn't come through for you. Maybe you just feel like you're barely surviving your to-do list, right? So, I want to give you a new way of thinking about these kind of situations because, there's a hidden choice that determines whether you're going to spend minutes or hours or days even kind of, stuck and spinning and derailed from these scenarios, or whether you're going to get what you want from these situations. You're going to use it as an opportunity to grow, to get traction, to get to your next level and gain others' confidence in you. And what is this choice? This choice is to be in your power and to use your power. Now, when I say power, this term can be kind of complicated for women, especially like we don't really feel like we've been a part of the power structure. A lot of women who I ask about power, I don't want power. Like to me, power means like control and dominance, and force, like something that I would never want to have over someone else. We think of it as like politicians and executives. But we throw this term around, girl power, women's empowerment. And what does it all mean? Let's take it back and use it for ourselves starting today. So interestingly, the word power actually comes from the Latin posse, which means to be able. Because when you're not in your power, you feel kind of done to or not able, like you have no options. Feels like power is in the hands of others and not something that you have access to. But there's so much more to the idea of power that I want to get us started with today. You have power in every situation. You have more power than you think or than you might be exercising right now. And the moment that you start accessing this power is when any of those situations that I mentioned or anything that's relevant for you is going to start to change and you're going to start to get what you want. And when you are able to be in your power, you raise everyone around you. And my bet is that that's what you want. So let me go back and start to kind of share what I mean by this. So hold on one second here. I just got to get the slideshow to go. Okay. So let me talk to you about power. Now, being in your power, the power that you do have is like an amalgam of all of these things. It's your life force. So it's every one of your thoughts. It's the energy that comes from every one of your cells. It's all of your know-how. It's all of your heart and loving. It's all of your decision-making abilities and knowledge. It's everything that you bring to that particular moment. That's your power. And what happens is, I actually think I want to talk to you for the rest of the time here about what happens if you don't realize that you have that power within. And then you feel, like you're kind of in that mental swirl. Then you kind of waste your time, you lose your focus, and it feels like other people are controlling your destiny. So what I want to do today is I want to bring to your awareness kind of three drains on your power, three things that derail your power. See, the more power that you can hold inside of you and access and use, the more you're going to have the kind of life that you want, the career you want, the business you want, the success, the relationships. Because when a woman is in her power, she raises everyone around her. So I want to talk about the three things that kind of, keep you from accessing that power and how you can start to do so today. So let's get started. What you want is you want to be in your power and you want to use your power to make it better for you and for everyone else in the situation. Here's the first of the three kind of drains on your power. What happens is that you might leak your power. You might leak your power, meaning that you have all of this good power that you have access to, but it's leaking out of you. Drained. For any of you who feel exhausted, for any of you who feel burnt out, who any of you, just feel like you have too many moments of kind of that negative energy, this is probably what's happening for you. And when it comes to burnout, yes, it's about too much to do and not enough time. That's part of it. But the other part of it that really contributes to burnout is this inner churn, these inner reactions where you're kind of focusing on other people and what they're doing or what they're not doing or what you have to do or don't want to do or any of these kinds of things. It's all of that quality of energy that just leaks your power. Now, when do you leak your power? You leak your power when it feels like you don't have control in a situation. And then what happens is that your focus goes on to what you can't control. And then you're blaming or you're feeling, all the negative consequences of what happened. Or you end up micro-tracking other people. What your manager said, what your manager didn't say, what did your spouse mean? What did they not mean? And it's just like, and it's all of that kind of nitpicking and it's just leaking your power. Let's say that you're really talented, but you don't feel seen or heard by your manager. What's going to happen? Well, you're going to feel that sense of deflation. You're going to feel disappointed. As you feel overlooked, as you try, as you come in every day bringing your best, you're going to start to feel demoralized and defeated. And when you've tried and you're not, getting the results that you want, then what we tend to do as women is we tend to doubt ourselves. What am I doing wrong? Even if it's not the case that you're doing something wrong in the situation, but you're just focused on the things that you can't control. We can even start to show up as like a diminished version of ourselves. And when we're angry and frustrated at situations or other people, and we have nowhere to put that out there, we start turning it on ourselves and we can start to be depressed. This is what I mean by leaking your power. And you can kind of see it's like all of that beautiful, gorgeous energy and love and intention and know-how you have out of your body. When you're in your power, you keep all of that to yourself, for yourself, to use it in the service of what you want for your life and to make it better for everyone around you. So I want to give you like a metaphor or like an analogy that you can use to start the idea of getting back into your power. So when you're not in your power, it's like you're a thermometer. So you're going through your day and you're kind of feeling this way or that way, you're up or down according to other people. You're playing off of other people. If other people are in a good mood, if they, validated you in the way that you were hoping for, you're kind of up and you're down playing off of them. That's not being in your power. You can hear all of that reactivity and all of that precious energy leaking out of you. Instead, what you want to be the thermostat. You want to be the thermostat. When you're the thermostat, you're like, you set the temperature. You're like, this is who I am. This is my vision of what I think needs to be done in the situation and what I think is best for everyone. I decide who I am and who I want to show up as. I show up in that way, and then everyone else sort of adapts and comes along. So tell me in the chat, how many of you do you want to be the thermostat Tell me in the chat. I want to hear from you. So this is what you want, is to be the thermostat, to be that center, and to be the one that everyone else adapts around rather than kind of reacting all day long. Be the thermostat. Now, I'm going to get us started here. I want to give you sort of the bigger picture. Of course, I can only, just get you started on some skills today, but this is what I see is kind of like the overall of how you find your power. It's at the center of ways that you're in your power. I think that's about, resilience. It's about how you stay in your flow. It's about not reacting. And it's about confidence. It's about you deciding who you want to be and not internalizing everybody else's projections onto you so that you don't even know who you are. And then it's about using that power once you're in your power, being really effective at influencing, at knowing how to say things so that you get buy-in, knowing how to share your powerful truths so that other people can benefit from your observations and from your authentic experience. And then prominence, which is really about using the power of your role, using and sharing power and leveraging people that you have in your life. So this is, we're just going to kind of get started with a sliver today, but this is what I see as the overall model of being in your power and using your power for the good of all. So when you're leaking your power, you're focused on what you can't control. So the first thing that we're going to do to get you in your power and using your power is you're going to start with this question. It's always like the first place you want to go. Where's your power? Where's your power? Okay, so we do a power analysis in any situation. Where's your power? So I want you to kind of follow along with this diagram. And it's the first thing that you want to think of in any situation where you're off, you're reacting, you just don't feel in your center. And this requires you to sort out what are the aspects of the situation that you can control. And I call this your 50%. And distinguish that from the aspects of the situation you can't control, the other 50%. That's what everybody else is doing or not doing. That's things that are going on at a macro level, like politics or weather or decisions that are beyond your control, etc. And here's what I want you to get is any moment that you are focused on what you can't control below the line, leaking your power. So what you want to do is you want to kind of put your attention above the line in any situation that's stressful or challenging, or you feel like, you that hijack emotionally. You just want to ask yourself, where's my power? And think about what can you control in your 50%. Now, if any of you gave me a scenario to coach you on where you feel like, oh, there's not a lot that you can control, I guarantee you that there are so many things that you could control in this situation. And so many things that I don't even want to overwhelm you with going over all that they are. So I boiled it down into one simple rule for you to remember. And that is be impeccable for your 50%. That means take 100% responsibility for everything that goes on within your 50%. And, for the perfectionists in the crowd, takes one to know one here. I'm not encouraging you to be a control freak because that would be trying to control 100% of the pie. What I'm saying is put your time and your energy and attention into being really effective at what you can control in your 50%. So I want you to even just take a moment here. And I want you to think about what is a situation that's really stressful? You're like, yeah, I'm totally leaking my power on this. And I want you to think about what's above the line. What can you control? And what's below the line? What you can't control, right? And then how can you be impeccable for your 50%? So I'll give you an example of this. So I worked with a woman who was a financial advisor in one of the big banks. And when she came to me, she was in so much distress, totally leaking her power because she was in a group with an older man and two younger men. And the older man started spreading rumors about her and trying to, kind of maybe kick her out of the group or marginalize her and maybe take some of her draw, et cetera. She was really upset. And so we immediately started focusing on, well, what could she control? Where was her power? And it seems in this situation, like, what could she do? He was the one with all the relationships and the good old boys. He was spreading rumors about her, and she tried to defend herself, and people weren't really believing her, and all of this. What could she do? But there's so much that she could do. And we worked together, and 90 days later, she was voted to be the head of the group of the four of them. She made it a rule that everybody got an equal draw. And she kind of took back her confidence. She stopped taking it personally. She realized that, that she could make relationships outside of his good old boy network. And in doing so, she brought in the biggest account or deal of their whole group's career. And then everybody, earned more, right? Because when a woman is in her power, she raises everyone around her, right? So her not taking it personally, her being strategic in the way that she approached him, her networking and growing her business, these were all things that were within her control and totally changed the situation. And that was a situation where it must have seemed at the beginning like, wow, like she has no control. So I want you to apply this to your own scenario. Be impeccable for your 50%. Okay, good. Let's go back and keep building our tools here. Okay. Be impeccable for your 50%. Now, let's go to the second way that you may not be holding on to your power. You might be draining that power, derailing that power, not for your kind of delicious use. Like, just think of this scenario of the woman at the big bank. Every woman in her power is a change agent. And that's exactly what she did. She spoke her powerful truth. She knew how to do it in a way that, we really scripted it out so it was effective, and then it influenced him and got the buy-in of the older gentleman and the younger. And then she became the leader. Every woman in her power is a change agent. Okay, so how else? The second thing, you might be giving away your power. Giving away your power. Now, what does that mean? Again, always within inside of you, always have access to it at any moment for you to use. But what does it mean to give it away? So this is an idea that I developed in my 10 years of research at Harvard Medical School. So it's like, could spend many hours on, but I want to just give you kind of a high level of it. See, we always want to have our come from, which is in this lower right-hand corner, where you're confident and you feel worthy and valuable. You're secure, in your own abilities and how lovable you are. So that when you come from that place, tell me, aren't you unstoppable? But at any given moment, especially if you're feeling, kind of not in your power, you're at the lower left-hand corner in this diagram. And that's when you're judging yourself or doubting yourself or criticizing yourself, putting a lot of pressure on yourself to be perfect or compare yourself. And here's the thing, is that even if you have a lot of objective accomplishments to point to, if you still have that doubt about yourself, by definition, you're not kind of coming from that confident place in the lower right-hand corner. But as human beings, we're going to do what it takes to get there. And what are we going to do? We're going to put our time and our energy and attention into acting toward other people in order to get other people to act towards us so that we can come from that place. Now, what does that have to do with giving away your power? You can kind of see this. Where is your energy going toward? It's going towards managing other people's perceptions of you in order to have that feeling inside of yourself. So there's actually 4 patterns that I've researched, and maybe I'll give you the link at the end. In fact, Maggie, if you want to put it into the chat, I think it's sharonmelnick.com/leader or leaders. I'm not sure.
Okay, I can add that.
Both of those.
Thanks.
And you can actually take the assessment for yourself and see. And so maybe if you seek other people's approval, right? And, and then you do a really good job, and maybe you go to your boss and you're like, look at what I did. And, and so up the left-hand side of the triangle, you're like, this is what I did. And what do you think? And if your boss is in a good mood and has the bandwidth to sort of really recognize you, they might say, like, that's why I hired you. You know what I mean? Like, great job. I really appreciate you. But let's say they're in a bad mood, or they're, overwhelmed or exhausted, or just doesn't, they're having a moment where they can't be there for you and they don't reflect that back to you. Then you're like, totally deflated. And you're like, oh, maybe I'm not good at what I do, right? So you see how you're giving away your power on a silver platter. It's like you're outsourcing your evaluation of yourself to other people. That's not being in your power. It's giving it away. Same thing. You have something valuable to say in a meeting. Up the left-hand side of the triangle, like, you, instead of saying that valuable piece of information, you say, but what are they going to think? Are they going to think this is mundane, or I'm not smart enough? I don't know what I'm talking about. And then you don't say it. And then why don't you say it? You're trying to prevent them from rejecting you or criticizing or giving you negative feedback. Again, handing over your power on a silver platter. Same thing if you're being perfectionistic, right? You don't want to disappoint others' expectations. It's all about managing other people's perceptions of you. So this is giving away your power, playing off of other people, and not you deciding, this is who I want to be. This is the contribution I want to make. And when you give away your power, it leads you to focus on your momentary concerns and what other people think about you, which is the thing that's the most out of your control, below the line. And it's just your small game. And my bet, if you're a savvy lady, is that you're here to play a big game, right? Meaning that you don't want to focus on, oh, what are they thinking about me? You want to focus on, like, what's the contribution I'm here to make? What's the legacy I want to bring? How can I make this better for everyone? How can we, right? Go direct, right? Not indirect, focusing all your attention on managing other people's perceptions, but it's like, who do you want to show up as? Go direct, right? Getting that, sourcing that confidence from within, sourcing it from meaningful connections, from the rewards of, like, whether it's your accomplishments or your connections with other people. It's like going indirect and giving your power away. It's kind of like you're trying to get love from other people. But going direct, being in your powers, like, it's not trying to get love. It's like, be love. So indirect, you know what I mean? You could see on that triangle, like, kind of going through other people and managing other people's perceptions of you. That's like trying to get love. Instead, what you want to feel lovable. See, because that you can control. You can feel lovable 24/7. It's not about what anybody else is going to think or do or say about you. Go direct, get it direct from within. So to get you started, a good exercise for you to do is this idea that I call your horizon point. Now, your horizon point is like, who do you want to be? It's like, you just think about, like, what's the outcome you want in your business, right? Or what's the outcome you want for your career? Or what's the nature of the relationship that you want, or the culture that you want in your household with your family? Like, you set that intention, and then you think about, you decide, who do I need to show up as in order to be the one who starts to create that, right? That's what I mean by your horizon point. It's a visual cue, it's an intention. And so, who do you want to be at your horizon point? And I'll tell you actually how you can kind of get this started is that you can even, like, just start to make a list of, like, who do you want to be? What are your superpowers that you bring, your strengths and aspirations? And that's, like, on the left side. And then think about, like, what is the business, or what is your team, or what is your family, your relationship need from you? That's on the right side. And when you can find that sweet spot intersection between the two, totally authentic to you, and yet it's kind of who you need to show up as in order to get those results. So I really encourage you to kind of take this on. And I want to just like give you a couple of examples of how this works. So here's, for example, someone who was in my Next Level Leader virtual group coaching program, because she was passed over twice for promotion, wanted to get to the next level. And so she did this exercise, and you could see she wanted to feel heard. She wanted to get buy-in. She wanted to be more confident, do more interesting strategic work, etc. And so she kind of, did this exercise, got really clear who I need to show up as. She kind of encapsulated, like she did the whole exercise, and it was like, a whole page long thing. But then she said, I'm just going to kind of capture this in a phrase, strategic influencer. And she's like, that's exactly who I need to be. I'm not going to come in and sort of like do a to-do list and be all confused, like what work should I be doing and what do people need from me? She's like, I'm going to decide. This is who I'm going to be. And going into every meeting, she'd be like, what would a strategic influencer do? And how would I language the things, that I say? It's no longer like giving an update like, well, this is what we did. Now it's like, my strategic recommendation is. She knew how to show up. And after being passed over twice, 4 months later, her manager said, I've really been noticing how you've been more strategic and more influencing. And this morning I put in for your promotion. So you see that she took control of her narrative. She decided who she wanted to be. And people notice. That's being in your power. That's using your power, because that you can control. And even like yesterday, I have a new client who's runs a team, a business in the kind of insurance financial area. And she was like, oh, my assistant, you know what I mean? And she's so needy. And I feel like so guilty if I don't like spend all this extra time with her. You can see that's all indirect. That's all being the thermometer, playing off of what her assistant needs. Now she wants to be like, really structuring and really motivating and really like individually give her assistant what she needs, but she doesn't want to be like ruled by, her assistant's needs throughout the day. That's not going to grow the business to 250 million from where she is now, right? Okay. So her horizon point, we just went over it. We did that. And she said, clear, calm thinker. She's like, if in every situation I can just not get hijacked, but just be like, okay, what are the expectations? Where are we going? Remind myself of who I need to be. Now she's just much more kind of, poised and giving, having the kind of interaction that she needs. And now she's more efficient and they're getting more things done, and her assistant feels kind of tended to. Here's another example of someone who was a senior leader at a company. Lots of change, lots of emotional reactions. For her, it was poised change agent, right? And once she started showing up as that poised change agent, she started to be the one leading change. And then her CEO noticed that like everyone was coming to her and she was the calm presence, and said, I'm going to put you in charge of change for the whole company. It's very noticeable when you control the narrative and you don't give your power away to other people. Confident leader. Here's another example of someone who was a business owner. She wanted to grow the business, but not be so self-critical or anxious. For her, it was effortless flow. That's who I need to be. I need to show up, and I need to ask in every situation, how could I do this with more effortlessness? She grows the business 30%, spends 2 afternoons a week with her children. So that's the second thing, is not give your power away. You decide who you want to be. You be the thermostat, and have raise everyone else around you. And then, so are you giving your power away, right? Are you focusing on what other people think about you, or trying to manage yourself or hold yourself back so they don't think a certain way? Go direct, right? Get it from within. You decide who you want to be at your horizon point, and everyone will notice. That's a woman in her power. There we go. Okay. And then the third thing, so are you leaking your power? Are you giving your power away? The third is, you want to be aware, are you squandering the power that you do have? So, just like in the example that I gave you of the financial advisor who was in that real kind of like pickle of a situation, right? She didn't feel like she had any power at all. But I want you to hear it from me, and I want you to really take in this idea. You always have power in every situation, even when it seems like you don't. Like she didn't feel like she had any power in that situation. So you always want to access the power that you do have, and you want to use it in a way that is going to help you get what you want and what's for the good of all. So there, even in a situation where you don't feel like things are in integrity, you can share your observations about that. You can share your powerful truth about that. Even when it seems like there's nothing that you can do in the situation, there's always things that you could do to manage your own emotions in the situation, um, to not take it personally, to see how the situation might be happening for you and not to you. And you always want to be really, really effective in your influencing, like not just kind of, you have an idea and you just say it and then people didn't hear it. And so you're like, see, I don't feel listened to. That's not being in your power, right? Instead, you want to really like understand what's in it for other people and you really want to align with them. That's how you have influence. That's how you create something bigger than that's just you. So before you just sort of go to in any situation an assumption of like, well, I don't have power in this situation. No, 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 not from this moment on. I want you to think about where's your power and who do you need to be? Who do you want to be in the situation? How can you be the thermostat? And make sure that you don't squander the power that you do have. You know, I recently started a podcast. It's called the Powershift Podcast. I'll show you a picture of it in just an upcoming slide. I really encourage you to listen to it. Oh, it's like really good illumination about how to be in your power and use your power. And in the second episode, I interviewed a guy who did a 10-year study about power and executives, how they use power. Want to know what the number one abuse of power is? I know you're going to think like, yeah, being a toxic boss and all of that. I'm sure there was some of that. But what he found is the number one abuse of power was not using it when you have it, not using it for the good of all. You have people who you can connect with. You have know-how in your position, whatever it is, as a business owner or in a company. And from this moment on, you want to make sure that you don't squander the power that you do have. You want to speak up. You want to make sure that you're doing it strategically and effectively. You want to have that bigger picture in mind, and you want to move people in the service of it. Because when a woman is in her power, she raises everyone around her. And every woman in her power is a change agent. So I'm developing an assessment to help you understand, are you in your power? How much are you using the power that you do have? So I really want to encourage you to head over. So we're putting some of the touches on the assessment, but I want to encourage you to go to sharonmelnick.com/power quiz. sharonmelnick.com/power quiz. Maybe we could put it in the chat, Maggie. And just give me your contact info there. And then as soon as we have the assessment, then you'll be able to get a customized report. Are you in your power? Where are you using your power? Where could you be in your power and use your power even more? And then finally, I really encourage you to check out the Powershift podcast. And if you like it, give me some feedback, send me a review. And so I am like so grateful to be here talking about being in your power and using your power. You know, power is not something that's out there. Power is something that is in here. You have the power where you can be in your power when it comes to money, If you feel in a fog, or that you kind of can't, when it comes to money, it means you have an opportunity to get in your power. So even just using all of the advice and the community that is being built here with Savvy Ladies, this is a source of your power. This is an opportunity for you to come in your power, right? And for you to control what it is that you can control, for you to decide who you want to be around your money and how you want to use it, and to use your power to make the contribution that you've been put here to make. And I'll take questions if there are any.
Thank you, Dr. Melnick. That was great, really inspirational. Thank you so much. I see we did have some questions in the chat, and I'll remind everyone you can use the chat box, or you can also use the Q&A section. And if you're joining us by phone, you can email info@savvyladies.org. The first question for you says, I was verbally bullied at a management group by my boss. I already filed a complaint, but I did not go to yesterday's meeting because I was still upset. How do I show up powerful and strong for next Tuesday's meeting?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I really want to commend you. That's a good example of using the power that you do have to file a complaint. There are formal channels for that. It can be triggering. It can be traumatic to be treated in a way that is so disrespectful. And for you to have to attend, especially in the workplace, a situation where there wasn't safety. And I'm sorry that you experienced that. And so it's understandable if you felt emotionally activated by that. That's a sign that that situation violated your values and your sense of well-being. And that's totally understandable. I think you do have an opportunity to think about that horizon point exercise, and to think about what is the outcome that you want in this situation, and who do you need to show up as, right, in order to create that outcome. So I think, is this something where, you want this person to be given feedback and to be, held accountable? Is that something that you could arrange with the stewards of the culture, like an HR person? Is this something that you, depending on your relationship with your boss, that you want to bring up directly? And I think that you want to think about, like, what do you need? Where's your line in the sand, right? These are all things that you can control. What are you willing and able to kind of do going forward in terms of kind of continuing in that group? And if you do decide that it can be repaired, then it's like, who do you need to show up as, right? And then you need to kind of decide who you need to be, so that if it's the case that you're going to continue to work in that group, who do you need to show up as? And I assume that that's something along the lines, of course, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but of, kind of confident and self-protective and, focused on your contribution and self-assertive and all of those kinds of things. So I commend you for the response that you have had. And I think that you want to be really intentional about your thinking through what you need and what you want, what you can do, and then, kind of make that decision and craft your horizon point.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Melnick. Here's another question for you that says, how do I get in my power when I have the mindset of a worker bee, but my heart desires to start my own business?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, let's, my bet is that if you're in a working employment situation and you want to start your own business, then you're probably in that mental swirl, right? Where you're like, I should be doing this, but I'm not doing it. And I'm feeling bad about procrastinating, or I don't know how to get started. All of that leaking your power, right? So you want to get in your power around this. And what are the things that you can control in this situation? You can get really clear about what you want. You can educate yourself about what it's going to take. You can take the first steps to get started. You can make a transition plan, right? Of, of kind of, how long it's going to take and how you're going to get started. You could put contingency plans into place. You can put yourself into a coaching situation where there's accountability. You can start, using time in the morning or in the evening or on your weekends to get started. But I think what you want to be aware of is that when you're in that gray zone, when you haven't really made a decision one way or another, that's where there's all that leaking of your power. And all of that good intention and know-how then is kept from either going into your current employment situation or being channeled, right, into your next chapter. And that's really the importance of being in your power, right, is to shift from all of that inner churn to channeling your energies into the good work that you want to do in the world. It's to shift from that inner churn to being a change agent inside of your company or community.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I see we have another question that came in that says, I've been working as a consultant for someone who I really enjoy working for, and now they've offered to hire me part-time, but for a much lower wage. I see the opportunity in being part of this company, and it feels really bad with the amount offered. Do you have some comments on that, Dr. Melnick?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I'm sorry that you're put in that situation. I think, again, one of the things that you can control is like, what is the vision for your career? Where's your line in the sand? So this is where, like, what's important to you around your earnings, right? Like, is there a number that is sort of like, can't go below this? Have you negotiated as effectively as you can? Is there some possibility for coming in at this salary, but there would be a bump or a next level that could be explicitly, kind of written into your contract? And what's most important to you? Like, is your current income what's most important? Is building your resume or setting yourself up for future career positions? Like, all of this is within your choice. So you want to, like, do your own soul searching about what's really important to you, right? Because every decision is made in the service of something. So you want to get really clear about what are the criteria that you are making a decision in the service of. And I absolutely support you and encourage you to listen to a lot of the other savvy ladies' advisement around negotiation, around managing your money, and all those kinds of things. And if if it doesn't meet your current criteria, then I want you to feel in your power to say, this isn't right for me, and I'm going to take a stand for what it is that I do want and that I do deserve.
Yes, that's great advice. Thank you. I believe this is the last question that we have for you, Dr. Melnick, and it's asking, what would you say is the first step I can take to stop worrying so much what other people think about me when I feel like that's what's taking away my power?
Yeah, for sure. So, one of the things that I think is a good first step is for you to get really clear about that horizon point, right? And instead of worrying about what other people are thinking, focus in the moment about who do I want to be, right? And kind of channel your energies there. I do have a book called Confidence When It Counts, which really talks a lot about how to stop giving your power away and instead to kind of go direct, if you will, to get it from within. So I think that those are a good place to start. And another thing that could be of interest if there's any of you out there where you kind of know you have that negative voice. It's, kind of you've tried to, think positive or talk differently, to yourself, et cetera. And it hasn't really shifted. The reason why is this is something that I did research on actually in my 10 years of research at Harvard Medical School, was really kind of where that negative voice comes from. And oftentimes there's kind of a part, quote unquote, of you that gets activated in certain situations where you're trying to, take a stand for yourself or move forward, and it gets activated, and then it makes you feel like you're not enough, and it makes you feel like you need to kind of be outsourcing your evaluation and kind of getting it from other people. And if that speaks to anyone, then you could feel free to be in touch with me, because I have an exercise. I call it the magic bullet exercise, that I do with my private clients. And essentially, we trace that negative voice to its origin. We root it out at its source, and then people say, I don't know, I just don't really go there anymore. It just, kind of, it's a root cause solution. So I'd say definitely get started with some of the resources that I talked about. Identify your horizon point, and feel free to follow up with me if you want to do some individual work or really go deeper.
Great. Do you have time for one more question?
Sure.
Okay, this says, sometimes I feel like I speak up too much. I'm very outspoken in meetings. People always say I make good points, but sometimes I feel like I wish I could just be silent. Is there such a thing as speaking up too much?
Akila, I never wish for you to be silent. Please don't ever be silent. This is internalized messages. This is an internalization of messages that we get as women. We're too much of this. We're not enough of that. And that has nothing to do with you and who you actually are. What you want to do is you want to be more objective, right? So this is part of giving away our power, is internalizing the projections of other people, what other people kind of put onto us because it was convenient for them to think that way, right? Because it helped them be in their power, right? But that has nothing to do with who you really are. And so what I would encourage you to do is, when you're giving away your power, it usually means that you're being subjective, meaning it's not about you. It's like all the things that you're worried about that people think about you or will think about you. And so I think it's much better for you to try to be objective, because I'm sure, Akila, like you and like everyone else, like me, like you have strengths and you have, aspects that are like, you could develop. And so I think the answer is for you to be more objective, like, try to track, like, the times when you speak up, like what is the response that you get? If people think that you make really good points, keep making them, right? But if there's sometimes when you speak up, people maybe don't really get it, or, you're not getting buy-in, then I just think that's an opportunity for you to um, think about, like, how could I be more effective in the way that I say things, like really learn some influencing skills. It's an opportunity for you to, kind of track the conversations that happen on your team, and what are the things that really land well, and you can start to shape, these are things that I think I should definitely keep speaking up about, and these things don't seem to resonate as much. And then maybe talk to people outside of the meetings, and can you give me a sense of like how that landed for you? And but you see, then it's just problem solving, then it's just constructive, then it's not like a referendum on your worth and whether you're good enough and whether you're too much or not enough or any of those kinds of things. None of that has anything to do with like objectively the work that is going on in the team in order to like do a good job for your customers or your patients, or your clients, right? Or your cross-functional partners. So just try to be objective about it. Always be considering how you could be improving your skills. That's just good. I'm still, always trying to do those things. See if you can be kind of objective about the read, but don't just swallow like whole hog, the like you're too much this or you're not enough that. just try to be objective. Don't give your power away. Decide the contribution that you've been put here to make.
I love that. Thank you, Dr. Melnick. And I see in the chat that resonates with some other people as well. Thank you for saying that. For other people who feel like they've been told they talk too much. Another comment here, great presentation. These questions were so relevant to my own situation and concerns as well. So Dr. Melnick, I want to thank you so much for presenting today. I'm seeing a lot of messages thanking you and sharing this great presentation with everyone today. I also want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we will be sure to send a follow-up email with the resources that Dr. Melnick mentioned today during her presentation. Thanks again, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Melnick. It was excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.